Welcome to Sexpertease, the show where we challenge outdated ideas about relationships, intimacy, and sexual health. I'm your host, the Erica Rivera, and I couldn't be more excited to explore today's topic, breaking the rules and redefining modern relationships. So, we've all grown up with a certain image of what a relationship should look like. One partner, typically opposite gender, following a path of dating, marriage, children, and forever after. But what if that doesn't feel right for you? What if you've discovered that love and connection don't fit neatly into society's expectations? That's what we're going to unpack today. Modern relationships are all about rewriting the rules to fit the people in them. From open relationships to living apart together, people are breaking free from tradition and creating partnerships that reflect their values and desires. So grab your coffee or tea and get comfortable, and let's dive into a world where love knows no bounds. Water for me, because my allergies have been getting the best of me. So, first, we're going to talk about what are modern relationships. Let's begin with that foundational question. Simply put, these are partnerships that prioritize individuality and flexibility. So, instead of following a predefined template, modern relationships adapt to the needs of the people involved, allowing them to thrive on their terms. For example, some people may choose to practice ethical non-monogamy, where partners openly agree to explore connections with others. And others might embrace cohabitation-free relationships. So valuing their independence while maintaining a strong emotional bond. Then there's the concept of chosen families, where friends or community members become our primary support system regardless of blood ties. So these styles reflect a major shift in how we approach love. It's no longer about ticking societal boxes, but about creating meaningful connections. And as we'll explore today, this shift offers new opportunities and new challenges for how we experience intimacy and partnership. So, to truly understand modern relationships, we need to look at where we've come from. Historically, relationships weren't always about love. For centuries, marriage was more of a practical arrangement used to secure alliances, wealth, land. In many cultures, romantic love was seen as secondary or even irrelevant to the purpose of a partnership. Also, gender roles were tightly prescribed. Men were the providers, while women were expected to take care of the home and family. This dynamic left very little room for individual desires or equality in relationships. It really wasn't until the feminist movement and LGBTQ plus advocacy that we even began to see cracks in these rigid frameworks. So now we fast forward to today, and the landscape has changed dramatically. We now live in a world where people can marry for love, live authentically as LGBTQ plus, or choose not to marry at all. Modern relationships are a testament to how far we've come, and it's also a reminder that we still have room to grow. So let's talk about different types. So modern relationships are as diverse as the people in them. Let's explore some of the most common types to get a sense of how love is evolving. And when I say most common, we're only going to gloss over the most common because there are so many different types of relationships. It would take up much more time than this episode. But one popular approach is ethical non-monogamy, which includes open relationships as well as polyamory. These types of partnerships are built on honesty and mutual consent, allowing people to explore multiple connections while maintaining trust with their primary partner or partners. Then there's relationship anarchy, which rejects traditional labels altogether. Instead of calling someone your partner or your spouse, the relationship is defined entirely by the people in it. Another emerging trend is living apart together, which is often abbreviated as LAT. This is where couples remain deeply committed but choose to live in separate homes. It's a great option for those who value their independence but still want a meaningful partnership. So these examples show us that there's no single way to love, only the way that works for you. And I know I say it all the time, but communication is the foundation. If there is one thing that can make or break a relationship, it's communication. So no matter what type of partnership you're in, the ability to communicate openly and effectively is essential. Even if you are in a monogamous relationship, communication is most important. So start with practicing active listening. This means fully focusing on your partner's words without preparing a response in your head. And I know that can be quite difficult for some, but show them you're engaged by asking questions or summarizing what they've said. Next, get comfortable expressing your needs. I feel like people have a hard time with this one too, because you don't want to come across as needy. And it might feel vulnerable at first, but clearly stating what you want avoids misunderstandings and resentment down the line. Keeping your needs to yourself will definitely create resentment down the line. Finally, learn how to resolve conflict in a healthy way. So disagreements are inevitable. They're going to happen whether we want them to or not, but they don't have to be destructive. But it's it's kind of surprising how many people do ask me in my, like, they'll come to my office and they'll ask me how they can avoid certain disagreements. And I'm sorry, guys, you're going to disagree. You're going to disagree. But again, the key is for it not to become destructive. So make sure that you're using I statements instead of placing blame, and focus on finding a solution together. So have solution-based conversations together. Remember, great communication, it's not about avoiding the problems. It's about facing them as a team. Okay? Avoiding them also will create a whole nother slew of issues. You need to face them and face them together as a team, not you're my enemy or I'm your enemy. No. All right. So again, communication is the foundation, and having that clarity with your needs is super important. Now, let's bring these concepts to life with some real world examples. Maria and Jake, they've been in a long distance relationship for 5 years. 5 years, that's a long time. What's their secret? Well, weekly video calls. They have shared online hobbies, and they plan their future visits together. So for them, communication and shared goals keeps their connection alive, even from miles away. But then we also have Alex, Sam, and Jamie, a polyamorous triad. Now they thrive on transparency, using regular check-ins to ensure that everyone feels heard and valued. So these couple stories remind us that relationships don't have to look a certain way just to be successful. So whether it's a long distance connection or a multi-partner dynamic, the key is finding what works for you and putting in the effort to nurture it. Now, obviously, dynamics like the ones that I just talked about can pose some problems. All right. Every relationship is going to have their challenges. So let's discuss some of the challenges of a non traditional modern relationship. So while these types of relationships offer incredible freedom, they come with their own unique set of challenges. And one of those hurdles is judgment from society. So, in fact, some of you may be watching this episode and secretly judging. Ethical non-monogamy, for example, is often misunderstood as a lack of commitment rather than a thoughtful choice. And family opinions can also complicate things. Explaining your choices to loved ones, especially those with traditional values, can absolutely feel like you're walking on a tightrope. On top of that, practical barriers can arise. So a lot of people don't think about the practical barriers. I've done a few workshops on the practical barriers, but one of them is legal systems. Legal systems often favor traditional relationships, making it harder for non-traditional couples to access shared benefits like healthcare or inheritance rights. I've also actually, a couple times that I've traveled doing workshops on some of these practical barriers, because I think that when people explore modern relationships, they think about all the positive things that come with that, which is totally great. But we forget about some of the legal complications that come with modern relationships. And I actually met a couple that, they were kind of battling with like child support and things like that. When children are involved, especially when it comes to modern relationships, these are things that you should be thinking about. So healthcare, inheritance rights, despite these challenges though, modern relationships will thrive when they are built on that trust that I mentioned earlier, resilience, and a willingness to grow together. Now, let's tackle some of the biggest myths about these modern relationships. So let's address the idea that non-traditional relationships are inherently unstable. That is one of that's one of the myths that I hear the most. In reality, stability is about communication and compatibility. It's not about the structure of the relationship. And another common misconception is that open relationships are purely about sex. For many, they're more about the emotional connection and shared freedom than anything physical. Now, by challenging these myths, we open the door to greater acceptance and understanding. Modern relationships may not look traditional, but they're built on the same foundations of love, trust, and mutual respect. So, modern relationships often require a fresh set of tools to navigate these unique challenges that they bring. And fortunately, there are resources designed to help couples and individuals thrive. So, for example, I've listed some here. Books like The Ethical Slut and More Than Two provide insightful guidance on building trust, how to set boundaries, and how to manage emotions in non-traditional dynamics. We'll actually touch base on that next week, because right now we're talking about the different types of relationships, of modern relationships, but the emotions and some of what happens within the dynamic, here's your little clue that we'll be touching base on that. But anyway, these are must reads for anyone exploring ethical non-monogamy or alternative relationship structures. And technology can also be a powerful ally. So apps like Bloom offer exercises and prompts to deepen intimacy and connection, while platforms for long distance couples focus on creating shared experiences even when you're apart. These tools are designed to meet the diverse needs of modern relationships, ensuring that love and communication remain strong. And honestly, beyond books and apps, practices like journaling and goal setting and regular check ins can help partners stay aligned. I know it sounds super old school, and I know there's people out there that probably don't like to journal, but some of these practices really help. And when couples take the time to reflect on their growth and celebrate their milestones, it fosters a sense of purpose, of partnership and purpose. Remember, thriving in a modern relationship is not about perfection. It's about continuously investing in your connection. And now I want to talk about the role of personal growth. This is something else in addition to communication that I feel like I harp on a lot. Like, as we do each episode, I'm like, man, I talk about this constantly, but I feel like it's important. So communication is important, but the role of personal growth also important. So one of the most overlooked aspects of a successful relationship is personal growth. While it's easy to focus on the partnership, the truth is that strong relationships are built by strong people, by strong individuals. So personal independence and self-awareness are absolutely critical to creating a balanced dynamic. So, for instance, emotional intelligence allows you to recognize and manage your feelings while understanding your partner's perspective. This skill can transform how you approach disagreements, turning conflicts into opportunities for growth. Self discovery is another vital element, helping you understand your needs, desires, and boundaries within the relationship. So, of course, I also want to talk about self care. Taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally ensures that you're bringing your best self to the partnership. So, again, I know I talk about self care a lot, but you've got to make sure that you're good before you enter a partnership. You got to bring your best self. And the only way to do that is to focus on yourself. And there's a lot of people out there that feel selfish or like they can't focus on themselves for whatever reason. But understand that this is going to make sure that you are contributing to the success of your relationship. So when it comes to self-care, this could mean setting aside time for your hobbies, seeking therapy, or simply resting when you need it. That's pretty simple. Just rest. When both partners prioritize their well-being, the relationship becomes a source of joy and support rather than stress. But speaking of support, I also want to talk about our support system. No matter how strong a relationship is, having a support network outside of it is invaluable. Community plays a vital role in helping individuals and couples navigate the complexities of modern love. So, you want to find like minded groups, whether locally or online, because they can provide a sense of solidarity and understanding. For example, polyamorous individuals might join support groups where they can share experiences and seek advice without fear of judgment. And similarly, LGBTQ communities often provide safe spaces to explore identity and relationship structures. Your support group isn't limited, or should I say, your support network isn't limited to groups. Trusted friends, mentors, or therapists can also be incredible allies. These people can offer a fresh perspective and help you navigate challenges or simply provide a listening ear. In today's digital age, forums, blogs, And social media also make it easier than ever to connect with others who understand your journey. Building and maintaining these connections can help you thrive no matter where you are in your relationship path. I also want to mention that there's like conventions and places of education out there for these types of dynamics. For example, Dark Odyssey has quarterly events, and I've actually been a featured speaker at this particular event where I did talk on polyamory and navigated some of the challenges that we mentioned earlier. I also held a workshop at the same event where I used movement, since I'm also a professional dancer, but I used movement as a way to create an intimate connection with your partner. So there are groups out there, events, groups, online forums, all the things. If you want to plug in with other people that are in a similar journey as yourself. As we wrap up this discussion, let's revisit the key takeaway. What do you think that is? The key takeaway is that there is no single way to love. Whether you're exploring ethical non-monogamy, practicing relationship anarchy, or simply redefining what a partnership means to you, the most important factor is mutual respect and fulfillment. Breaking the rules isn't about rebellion, it's about courage. It's about choosing authenticity over conformity and creating a relationship that reflects your values and desires. And trust me, this journey isn't always easy. You might face judgment, you might face misunderstandings, or even doubt from within. But when you stay true to yourself and communicate openly with your partner, you're creating something that's really meaningful. So as we conclude today's episode, I encourage you to take some time to reflect. What do you truly want in a relationship? What do you want? What makes you feel valued? What makes you feel respected? What makes you feel loved? Whatever your answer is, honor it. Your love story deserves to be uniquely yours. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on Sexpertease.